Welcome back to Ferocious Education. This is Zach. Today I'm going to be talking about Marathon Painting Group. This is an update for my previous series. Make sure to watch that other one. It's in the description below. It explains about block rewards and how it's changing. But nonetheless, this is a standalone video and you need to be able to get a lot of information here to make educated decisions. So let's jump right into it. So on a 1 week perspective, we're going to go quickly through technical analysis before the DD part. You can skip through that. We're just trying to focus here to get the psychology of the traders. So 1 week perspective, we get to see an MACD here that bounced right back up. A really positive move. ADX shows in a really strong trend, but actually it has been for a while. So 1 week perspective is at the trash trade ADX. William percent R was overbought, heading around towards neutral a little this week, and momentum looks really strong. Moving averages are bullish on every single level. Now on the 1 day perspective, what we get to see here is a bit of something interesting here is happening, but you get to see MACD has curved up. It's actually gone towards positive. ADX shows in a strong potential of a strong trend, so it's a trend with a strong potential to even getting stronger. William percent R is overbought, going on towards a little bit towards neutral, and moving averages still do look really bullish. However, look at the candle here. Something interesting is happening. It's almost seeing this exact same thing that it did a while ago, so around here. So that's nothing bearish, for instance, but you might want to start locking profits around the $6 range. But I do expect it might have another push later on. It's still barely clinching on towards the green, as you get to see. But you get to see it really seen a massive drop this morning, and it's kind of recovering. It's in the trading action zone on a 2 hour perspective. Below the 419, it breaks that kind of moving average, between the 10 SMA and the 30 EMA, moving average trading action zone trend. So that's where you got to be very careful. It's kind of clenching right now between green and red, but it's something interesting where you need to really make sure to have a stop limit, let's say below 416. I'll go through supports and resistance in a second. On a 2 hour perspective, on the MACD, it looks like it's attempting a negative trend though. And the ADX shows, hey, there's a massive potential of a pullback here. We get to see it's already going on towards a pullback of its own. So that's something to kind of give a thought about. Moving averages band here. $3 on the top, 273 in the middle, and 246 in the bottom. And what we're looking at in terms of stochastic fast and slow, the stochastic slow is showing that there is another leg on this one. The stochastic fast is showing that, hey, you might want to be very careful here. It might have another leg, but it also might rip down quickly. So you need to be very careful. Now, Fibonacci Retracements, we get to see current support on the Fibonacci Retracements at 483, below there 387, below there 320. Distance is at 605. Now, what we're going to do is a quick 1 month, 2 hour perspective to get supports and resistances here. And we get to see a current resistance lies at 521, actually 490 currently. Current support lies at 465, below 465, 449, below 449. We're looking down at 415, 375 below there. 347, from 347, 324, 324, 299, and 280 below there. Now let's jump into the latest news. What we get to see here in terms of news itself, they have a really amazing presentation finally. So I'm excited to go through that. I remember the last time I tried to go for a presentation on this one, there was nothing there. But it looks like on November 18th and November 19th, they have a new presentation. Well, 19th was the conference. So today, 24th is the conference. So it was today, 11:40. It looks like it bounced kind of back a little at the conference, so that is positive. It looks like the market is not, for a sense, buying the rumor, selling the news, but is getting reassured of that strong move. And when we look into institutional buyers and whatnot, so that's something to focus on. Now, insider buyers, nothing at all significant. Insider buyers, you get to see an influx of insider buyers going anywhere from 13,000 to 771,000, 247, 434,000, etc. So quite a lot. I think the only red I see is all the way back in July, and another one I think a week and a half ago. Well, of course they're beating the air, they're punching the air right now, as you can get to see. We have really progressed from there. Now it comes to their presentation. So quick look into their presentation. The potentially to grow monthly revenue from 500,000 to 8.8 million by quarter 2 2021. That gives its market cap multiplies a bunch of times 500,000 currently to 17 more times. You can get to imagine this can easily go from a penny stock to exit that penny stock market based on this thing alone. So if you're short selling this, I would recommend to step away and step aside. I go long and short, but when you see something like this, you might want to be very careful about where you're actually at. You don't jump in front of a train. All right. The next thing is owning Bitcoin can feel complicated, and they kind of explained a little about, hey, is it safe or whatnot. Purchase the asset itself for Bitcoin. So just like physical gold, in terms of the digital gold basically being simple, is you can actually own the assets itself. For Bitcoin, you can buy into an ETF, for instance, GBTC for Bitcoin Trust, invest in a producer such as themselves, Mara. So that is something where you can talk about, but just because, you know, producing of Bitcoins or Bitcoin mining is a little bit different, you'll have to watch my previous video to understand what block reward is and how they produce Bitcoin and how that's changing. Of course, the change is all the way to 2140, so there's a bit of a trend there. Now, what they're trying to show you here is GBTC trend. You can get to see it's exactly very much similar to Bitcoin, but when we're looking into Mara itself, you get to see something very interesting here. It really follows trend by trend, right? And then it had this massive spike. Give thanks to pumpers for that, right? And then it kind of dropped down, and then it started to kind of almost recover back again. And meanwhile, that is positive. What we get to see here is that it's back again in terms of that trend. So that is positive. That means now it's gonna sim play Bitcoin. What happened before was, you know, additional pumping followers, you get a pump and dump, and it's got to correct itself to follow the Bitcoin chart. But at this point, it looks quite solid. And then moving forward, what we get to see is their adoption fleet. So they're investing in 30 million in Bitcoin, or Square Incorporation is, sorry. PayPal as well had the service for buying, hold, and sell cryptocurrency. So for enabling it for the 26 million merchants they have. But that was a massive news for Bitcoin that made it kind of spiral out of control towards the moon. So there's that. 2020 Institutional Investors Digital Asset Survey gives us 36% of institutional investors surveyed currently invests in digital assets. Almost 60% of all investors surveyed have a neutral or positive perception toward digital assets, and 80% of investors found something appealing about digital assets. There's that. In theory, power output, more useful miners, increased power hash rate, increased power, higher probability of earning BTC. Cost of Bitcoin is lower cost on higher profits and mitigated risk to businesses from Bitcoin price fluctuation. So that is the only con, really. Now, in practice, new miners increasing Bitcoin production and revenue. So from 2020, you have 2 Bitcoins a day. In quarter 2, they're looking to between 15 and 20 Bitcoin a day. That gives you a revenue from 500,000 revenue per month to an estimated 8.8 million per month. Now there's a fluctuation there that might happen. New facilities, opportunity to increase scale around 12 times with fixed cost of electricity, more leveraged exposure to Bitcoin. So today they have around 105 megawatts at 2.8 kilowatts per hour. In the future, they're going to have above 500 megawatts. So you can get to see their growth. I can go on a bit more about the mining, but I did really explain it in terms of the block rewards, etc. But kind of a quick overview on how it works. Bitcoin transactions are pulled together in something called a block and encrypted by a complex puzzle. Once a block is formed, the miners complete to solve the puzzle. Difficulty to solve, yet to verify. That's basically on Sudoku. Once solved, the transactions are verified by the network. New block of verified transactions is attached to a chain of prior block, hence blockchain. For solving the puzzle, miners are rewarded with Bitcoin. Currently, you get 6.25 Bitcoin per block. Blocks are solved on average of every 10 minutes. If you look last year, it was something around, I believe, 13.5. And so this is going to keep happening every period of time. You'll have to watch my previous video to understand more about this. Now, the path for profitable mining, it really is increase the power and decrease the cost. Why? Because you see, everything here is variable. Now, the two things that are very much off, Marathon doesn't have control of, is the network hash rate. Technically, you might be able to get control of that. Price of Bitcoin, they don't have control of that, but hopefully Bitcoin keeps increasing. Block reward, this will keep decreasing a year. Blocks per year, that varies. And I think this one as well drops down at some point. So it's a little bit of things where they don't have control for in the future. So that's a little bit of a scary aspect. And that's how this one is different than others. In Q4 2020, they have additional 10,000 S19 Pro miners purchased from Bitmain, and I kind of did mention about this one in my previous video. All 23,560 deployed, making Marathon one of the largest miners in North America. B-Wolf Partnership is a best-in-class generation company developed, constructed, acquired, and operated over 5 billion of power generation industrial assets. Current portfolio is around 2.3 gigawatts of energy assets and owns 6 million shares in Marathon. That's B-Wolf Energy Partnership. B-Wolf provides Marathon with stable supply of electricity opportunities for future growth and helps it with around 500 megawatts earmarked for future blockchain and data expansion. Data centers can house up to 30,000 S19 miners. Average production cost for Bitcoin is around 3,863 per Bitcoin. Bitcoin currently trades around 18,000, so you get around $14,000 net per Bitcoin. At around 5 Bitcoin, what was it, 5? Yeah. Go back, we don't need to try to remember. If you go back around here, they're planning to have 15 to 20 Bitcoins a day, so 20 multiplied by 14, what we get is around $280,000 a day is their anticipation. Currently, they are at 2 Bitcoins a day, and with 2 Bitcoins a day, you're getting around 28,000. So they're trying to really multiply their revenue by magnitudes, getting the net rather than basically what your gross is. They have no long-term debt, and I think that kind of covers the presentation really nicely. Now, the next thing I want to mention is their, basically their highlights. So, right on here. Strong balance sheet with $24.6 million in cash and no debt. Overview of exclusive partnerships with B-Wolf and Bitmain, already covered that. Insight into the company's growth strategy and estimated financial performance once all 23,560 miners are deployed in Q2, including potential to produce 15 to 20 Bitcoins, already done that. 8.8 revenue per month. And 6.7 million in gross revenue per month, already covered that, and producing 2.6 EH per S, which will account for approximately 2% of the global Bitcoin hash rate. Alright, so kind of gives you a bit of perspective on the future of this one. And if it tells us one single thing that we can come out of this, is that this one is definitely a long-term investment. And at this current rate, from what we get to see from the charts, is that it is getting really close to actually playing Bitcoin. Now, what you need to be very careful of is you gotta let it settle. You don't want to FOMO in. You don't want to get in because pumpers have said so, or you don't want you want it to settle to accumulate. So if you bought around here where it's actually following Bitcoin, you have amazing returns. What happens every now and then is a bunch of people gonna jump in right in, jumping the price 100% and then dropping back. Because Bitcoin, guess what? It didn't jump 100%. But I'm glad to see it back on track, stabilizing as a sympathy play of Bitcoin back again. What would be my advice if I traded it a little bit from the lower? Sure, I get to see Mara to be $10 in 2-3 years. Okay, I have no doubt it has potential. That's if everything goes perfect. But why don't you start it's one of two things, okay? If you're from here, hold. If you bought from here, why don't you start, selling a little bit of them, securing profits, and see how things go. If it jumps up higher, you sell even more. Jumps lower, buy. Or, if the price goes lower and it goes down to, let's say, somehow $3, go back and buy again. Secure profits instead of having to ride it all the way from here to $3. So you go to $5, $6, $7, $8, and then go back. Learn how to secure profits. That's my advice for you, and I really see that there's a lot of potential in this one, and I am bullish for this. What do you think about this ticker? Make sure to mention down in the comments below. Share, subscribe, and like. Have a wonderful day.